On show 900, Tesla's charge ports are getting hot, but don't worry, they're meant to be. Stick around, I'll give you the details. Plus, today, production starts for the Volvo and BMW EVs that we're looking forward to. Some Lynk Co cars are coming to Europe on subscription, and Tesla's Selfie Cam has been deciphered. Well, for 900 shows, I've said good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're listening in the world. Welcome to EV News Daily. Here's what happened on Monday, 5th of October. My name is Martin Lee, and I go through every EV story so you don't have to. Wow, show 900, which means nothing to anyone apart from me, really. Whether you found the show recently and you listen to the podcast every day, or whether you've been here since show 1, in which case, God help ya, maybe you get some help, then thank you for your support, and thank you for everything that you do on social media, on email, and the tips that you give me and the feedback, and it's all very much appreciated. Thank you so much for all of your support, and all of my patrons that listen as well, is the only way that this podcast makes it on the air. Thank you, as always, to myev.com for helping me fund the show as well. Myev.com is the world's first marketplace all about EVs. If you are in the US, where it's available, buying, selling, learning about them, EVs, then fill your boots and make the most of it. By the way, I've been away for a week, so if you've been wondering where I've been and not just being lazy and not making the podcast, I took the first week off I've taken this year. I know. And COVID doesn't really count, does it? Because I've been working from home, but it's still working. And so we went away for a week with the lad, and my wife and I. First time we've taken him away, we just went to a cabin about 3 hours drive from where we live. It rained all week, and I dropped an iPad and smashed the screen. We had a great time. And the little lad just loved having mummy and daddy's undivided attention 24/7. Because he was in a strange bed. Did he wake up 24/7? So I need to sleep now for like a week. However, we had a great time, and we'll do it again sometime. But thank you very much for your patience of listening to a 2-minute intro before we even get to the news, which we'll start with talking about Volvo announcing production of their first fully electric car, the XC40 Recharge, began in Ghent, with a silent H, in Belgium. According to Green Car Reports, the SUV is coming to the US later this year. Pricing, performance, packaging is what you want to know about, and we don't know an awful lot, but it will be a Tesla Model Y competitor, but not a cheap one. Volvo Cars of North America told a group of journalists and Green Car Reports last week that while demo cars will arrive at dealerships in December, deliveries start in January, and the Recharge was engineered and developed alongside the Polestar 2 by the same Volvo-led engineering teams in Sweden. Thomas Engeleth, the designer. Same mechanical, so the battery's the same. For instance, it's a 78 kilowatt hour pack, although that's 75 kilowatt hours usable in that, so a bit of a buffer for battery safety and longevity. And it's got dual motors, 150 kilowatts each, which makes for a very sprightly, very rapid car when it's inside the Polestar 2. 0 to 60, 4.7 seconds, 402 horsepower, dual motor. In the Polestar, that makes sense. In a Volvo SUV, this is going to be a wolf in sheep's clothing. Bearing in mind, a lot of Volvo SUVs are used by, mummy wagons for soccer practice. Football is what it's called. I don't know why I said soccer. And 0 to 60 that quickly? That's crazy. Yes, please. I'd love one. Not cheap by any means. About £60,000, I think, in the UK. Or was it £50,000? I've not looked at the configurator in a while, and it's certainly a car that I'd love to have on the driveway, but way out of my budget, and we will bring you more details as they head towards customers. Another car going into production, the BMW iX3, started production this weekend. Now, the BMW strategy is to make one car with multiple powertrains, which is the opposite of how others are doing it with dedicated EV platforms. But whether you want an ICE, a combustion car, a plug-in, or a full electric, they'll make the same car with a different bits underneath. There's pros and cons. There'll be people that'll tell you that's a crazy idea and they're mad for doing it, and they're pretty, that's normally the Tesla brigade that'll tell you BMW are doing it all wrong. But, do your own thinking and think about it. BMW are trying to transition what is a massive automotive company with plenty of employees and have to look after them and pensions and things like that into an electric car company, which all car companies are going to be in the future, but they have to do that without going broke in the meantime, and that's their way of doing it. It's not everyone's. Like VW believe in a pure electric way of doing it with their ID cars that are all based on one platform, and the factories only make EVs and blah blah blah. So maybe it'll work differently maybe it's not one size fits all. So we'll wait and see. Respect to BMW for doing it like that. I do have reservations because everything becomes a bit of a compromise, but that's how they say that it's going to be affordable for them in the transition period to make one factory that makes one car, but the powertrains are different. It's not going to be a cheap car in the UK. The iX3 Premier Edition is at £65,000. A cheaper car is going to be, cheaper vans, really. The people carriers that are the Citroen and the Peugeot. The Citroen e-SpaceTourer and the Peugeot e-Traveller, they are now taking orders as of today of the pure electric people carriers, or MPVs, if you like. And they share components and powertrains, 143 miles on a charge, 50 kilowatts hour battery in these. You can charge them at 100 kilowatts on a DC fast charger. The Peugeot e-Traveller will sit 8 passengers. The Citroen e-SpaceTourer will do 9. And if you're a business user and you want it for a bit of luxury, you can have 3 rows of 3 armchairs. Good for hotels and airport runs and things like that. Price is starting at £45,000. Jeep are next in the news today. Jeep's first plug-in hybrid is stirring up interest in some circles, and maybe you're a company car driver that does some green laning at the weekends. Well, you'll want one of these, says BBC's Top Gear. First up is the Renegade, the Jeep Renegade 4xe, but it's not called the 4xe. Jeep have now confirmed they want us to call it the 4xe, which just sounds like I'm singing Kumbaya. It's a terrible name, so let's call it the 4xe and upset Jeep. A 60 brake horsepower electric motor, 11.4 kilowatt hour battery, which is a tiddler, but it's not always about size. Certainly you can do a few electric miles on that. 1.3 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine, and it's 4-wheel drive, but nothing connects the front and the rear because, as you may know, one of the reasons why EVs are better, you can have just electronic wizardry controlling it. Very smoothly integrated, says Top Gear in their review. The car keeps enough juice available to power the back wheels when 4-wheel drive is called upon. The 4xe, which we're going to call it, will take whatever you throw at it in its stride, which is a shame because nobody will ever use it like this, says Top Gear. Jeep assures us that hardcore trailheads will lap it up. I'll pop a link in the show notes to Top Gear. Tesla is next in the news. They are acquiring a German battery assembly maker that has been working so far with the German car makers. Tesla is said to acquire the German automation company ATW. They're a battery assembly company, a supplier assembling battery modules and packs for cars, German car makers. A source familiar with the transaction said at the end of last week, according to a Reuters report today, ATW, which is a subsidiary of the Canadian ATS Automation Tooling Systems company, was on the brink of liquidation because of a slump in orders, which I find hard to believe. There's nothing in the EV world to do with batteries and slump in orders. Those two things just don't go together, but maybe people were doing deals with different companies. But the German media reporting back in September that the company was struggling. On September 25th, they announced certain assets and employees at one of their German units would be transferred to a third party, but not saying what that third party is going to be. Tesla, based in Western Germany, they have 120 employees and they have completed more than 20 battery production lines for mostly German automakers. Moving on. And what does the Tesla Selfie Cam really do? Well, as you may or may not know, there is a camera around where the rearview mirror is on Teslas, and it faces the cabin, pretty wide angle, so it does take in most of the occupants sitting in the car. Many people have been speculating that it's all about when cars are used as robo-taxis in the future, which, again, according to some of the hardcore Tesla fans, about 5 minutes away that robo-taxis will arrive. Set your stopwatches now. And I've never been quite convinced about that, because people say, well, you know, when your car that you've bought for 50 grand is being used at 2 a.m. in the morning to ferry drunk people home from the club, you want to be able to film which one of them puked in the foot. Well, and I've never been fully signed up to that. Firstly, because robo-taxis are a million years away. Might be exaggerating, but robo-taxis are far, far further away than anybody would like to admit. And also because if you just want to steal a car or do something nefarious, well, having a single camera pointing back might be a deterrent. But this is interesting. A well-known Tesla white hats hacker, in other words, he or she is one of the good guys or girls, simply known as Green on Twitter. I think it's a guy. I think in the past, Green has referred to themselves as a he. They are able to look at the code and do funky things with the source code in a Tesla. Now, Green has posted to Twitter to say that there are a bunch of commands which have now been linked to the driver-facing camera in Teslas. And despite not being in use yet, this hacker has identified that there are now some, like I say, labels or commands attached to it, and it is to do with the state of the driver, whether it's like, you know, eyes closed, eyes open, looking down, looking straight ahead, wearing glasses. Now, this system would give a warning in an autonomous situation where the driver wasn't paying attention. For long-term listeners of the podcast, and you haven't got to have listened to all 900 shows, will know that I've never felt that Tesla's current way of ensuring that you are paying attention is best in class. So simply having your hand on the wheel and applying a light amount of force to the steering wheel is not the best way to ensure that you are paying attention. Many of Tesla's rivals have driver-facing cameras with facial recognition to track particularly your eyes and where they are looking. The Ford Mach-E is going to do this. The Lucid's going to do this. That is the best-in-class system for knowing if you are paying attention. People have often criticised Tesla for not having that facility, and now it looks like, just maybe, that's what they will be introducing. So combined with having your hand on the wheel, applying that pressure, doing the eye tracking to know that if you are paying attention and that you haven't got your eyes closed, for instance, those things combined would mean that they would, in those areas where they have to do a lot of work with regulators, and which is a massive task. It's not just a case of, hey, we can make cars drive themselves. Now it's like, now we are allowed to be able to do that by the regulators. It would be a big win for Tesla to be able to prove that they have these technologies to ensure that the drivers are paying attention, even when the cars are driving themselves. Moving on, Tesla. Headline story today is getting hot around the charge port, but fear not, it's meant to be. Tesla has activated a new charge port heater in the Model 3 and the Model Y, but it's unclear who has it at the moment, according to Electrek. The Tesla Model 3 and the Model Y owners are receiving, in the latest software update, something called Charge Port Inlet Heater in the update 2020.40. So far, only owners of the Model 3 vehicles have been reporting receiving the new features. Of course, this would mean a hardware change. So we know that Tesla don't do model years. They just improve the cars gradually. They added those USB-C sockets to the Model 3, gave the Model 3 that new center console as well, or that might be just be China. And actually, it's one of those things that I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of timed with the Model Y. So they made a change to the design, and then cars have been shipping without people realizing with a new heated, which is great for cold climates, heated charge port inlet. According to Tesla, and I quote, "Your car can now use the charge port inlet heater to help defrost the inside of the charge port. The charge port inlet heater can be activated in cold ambient temperatures by enabling preconditioning using the mobile app, activating the rear defrost button on the vehicle's touchscreen, or preconditioning the vehicle using scheduled departure." I'll pop a link to Electrek in the show notes. And things are going well in China. Tesla has seen a large rise in sales and after price cuts for the Model 3 in China. The price cut affected the two variants of the made-in-China Model 3. The Standard Range Plus was dropped by about $3,500 equivalent, and the long-range rear-wheel drive version dropped about $5,000 equivalent in price. According to Talk News, producing and delivering so many vehicles will be a challenge, a logistical challenge for Tesla if they can't keep up with the pace of orders. And in some places, like at the auto show, the queue has been literally queuing round the block for people to order these new, cheaper Model 3s in China. And here in the UK, we're loving our electric cars. The UK new car market did not do well in September. It suffered its worst September since the twice-yearly number plate changes were introduced. But, as in previous months, there was one glimmer of hope for the entire car industry. According to a Driving Electric magazine, that was indeed electric cars. Pure electric cars went from the same time last year, so September 2019, 7,700 EVs sold. To this September, 22,000 pure electric cars, 184% increase. Year to date, 66,000 pure electric cars have been sold in the UK so far, and that is up from same time last year, 25,000. While the Model 3 had a big period through lockdown, because of course Tesla were already set up to do remotes or touchless handover. You bought the cars online. You could, unlike other car suppliers that needs their dealer network, which were all closed, Tesla had that set up already and in place. So they had a great COVID. Certainly here in the UK, they were the number one car, not just the number one EV. They were the number one car, at least in 1 month, which is crazy when you think about it, if you really think about it. However, since then, it's fallen out of the number one spot. The Vauxhall Corsa E took the top spot in July, went down to 5th in August, and now in September, the Vauxhall Opel was once again number one. Talked about Volvo earlier, their parent company Geely. One of their electric brands is Lynk Co, and they finally revealed details of their hybrid ownership model, which lets people subscribe to their cars. Their compact SUV, which is a plug-in hybrid, is $500 a month. Sorry, euros, 500 euros a month, and you can, if you want to, then rent that car out to other people to make some of your 500 euros back, says The Verge. The company's hybrid and plug-in hybrid cars ship to European members next April. For 500 euros, you can, if you want, split that between individuals, so you can have multiple people who are renting the car, allowing groups of friends in the same city to share a single car and make sure that it's used a lot more than if everybody had their own car. The monthly fee includes insurance and servicing by Volvo dealers, but doesn't cover the cost of electricity, and it's a 1 month notice period to cancel. That will definitely be popular with a certain generation of people who, certainly the 20-somethings that I work with in London, they never think they'll ever buy a house. They've just written it off in their head. They're like, it's just so expensive. I'm always going to be renting. They would never have a DVD collection because they've got Netflix. They would never dream of having a music collection because they've got Spotify. And so they would never dream of owning a car because they'll either car share or ride hail, or maybe this kind of scheme where they chip in and 3, 4, 5 of them have access to their own-ish car. Well, that is the news for today. Show 900 is a wrap. There are 898 previous shows in the archive. See, I told you I was bad at math. I told you. 899 previous shows in the archive, if you would like to get those. There is a competition this week to celebrate 900 shows with our friends at the EV Review Ireland YouTube channel. This is an idea from Derek Riley, and you can check out my Twitter to see that, to celebrate 900 shows all this week. And a few of my buddies sent me some messages. How nice is this?
Hey Martin, this is Neil E. Roberts from Sussex EVs. Just wanted to wish you a massive congratulations on hitting 900 episodes. Long may it continue.
Hi Martin, it's Chris from Plug-in Adventure here, and I just wanted to say a huge congratulations on reaching your 900th episode of EV News Daily. You should be so proud of yourself. You've kept me entertained on many of my long distance drives, and I look forward to enjoying more episodes as time goes by. So congratulations mate, well done.
Well Martin, well done. It's EV Nick here. I just want to say congratulations on hitting your 900th podcast. That is such an amazing dedication. Well done to you, and here's to the next 100 so you hit 1,000 podcasts.
I'm tearing up here, honestly. Well, here's to the next 900 shows. And thank you very much to our premium partners, Phil Roberts of Electric Future, Brad Crosby, Avid Technology, Porsche of the Village in Cincinnati, Audi of Cincinnati East, Volvo Cars of Cincinnati East, nationalcarcharging.com and allohacharge.com, Derek Riley from the EV Review Ireland YouTube channel, and Richard at rsimons.co.uk, the electric vehicle specialist and our latest premium partner to the podcast. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow. And remember, there is no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.